Hey, what's up YouTube? Welcome to today's video, and we are gonna go over the glove technology that is pretty life-changing, at least in every single attack-based build that I've played this league. Now, this pair of gloves should probably be used by every single attack build if you can find to make it work. However, there are some caveats where it's kind of hard to make it work, and I'm gonna go over exactly what the problem is on Tornado Shot and how this is another Poe.ninja issue where people just look at the highest DPS profiles on Poe.ninja and blindly assume that it is the best way of building it. And it does make sense because there's no other way to figure out what the actual best build on Poe.ninja is other than pretty much importing it and trying to copy the technology that people have. But the pair of gloves we're talking about is Comb Spirit, and this was actually made last league. It was designed in 3.19 by the Albert Einstein of PoE by Iron vs. Wild. And you know you're big shit when you actually have your name as a hyperlink on the wiki. Now, he actually got this unique commission by another Eternal supporter called Casta Blanca. And what this pair of gloves does is it kind of fulfills this niche that used to exist before, which is Chainbreaker. So the way that Chainbreaker used to work is that you would regenerate rage, 3 rage per second, and then increases and reductions to mana regeneration rate apply to rage regeneration rate. So this allowed people to stack mana regen on their rings or amulet, and then this would allow them to get up to like 8 rage regen per second or 9 rage regeneration per second, allowing you, as long as your skill doesn't attack super fast. So this was mainly used back in the day for your ground slam or earth shatter. Back in the gauntlet, a lot of people used it, and everyone would try to farm jewelry with mana regeneration, and that was kind of hard because mana regeneration does not have a tag. Now, this does illustrate the problem with Poe.ninja, and the reason behind this is we could actually go look at Poe.ninja, and let me pull it up here, and we'll be able to see that every single profile actually has, actually has Berserk. So if you actually look at right here, and we import the POB over, you'll see that the game gives you Berserk, and you'll find out soon enough that even though you have Berserk, you actually never have any sort of Berserk uptime, because the only way you generate rage is through your gloves, and that does not really work. Now, I did use this technology all through last league with the Venom Gyre League starter, and I do notice that these are also BIS probably on Frame Stacker and Tornado Shot. Now, for Frame Stacker, if you're using the KB setup and you do have the 8-link pair of gloves, it's obviously not going to be better than that. However, it is possible to play Frame Stacker with only Kinetic Blast and not have to rely on Power Siphon at all. And on that note, let's go check out Poe.ninja. Currently, for Comb Spirit, are at 4% use rate. Now, the nice part about these gloves is that you might think like, oh, they're completely trash. Now, the fact of the matter is that these gloves actually have some nice little stats on them. They have 70 life, they have 30 fire res, so they're not complete junk. So what this pair of gloves does is it converts your life recovery from regeneration to rage recovery. So if you have 100 life recovery per second, you will have 1 rage regen per second. So if you have like 500 life recovery per second, you will have 5 rage regen per second. Now, that does mean you do have the downside where your character will have no life regen at all. However, that doesn't really matter. In a lot of cases, you can pretty much just use life flask or something like that to counteract it, especially for boss fights. You should be using a lot of life flasks already. Now, this allows any build that has access to life regen to be able to use Berserk, and it's very easy to get life regen. There's a lot of uniques that can grant it. If you use Mage Blood, there's also the thing with it, and then there are also a lot of rares. You can roll T1 life regen, for instance. On the chest piece, you can get 150 life regen. Now, this allows you to get a very, very high Berserk uptime with 5 to 6 rage regen per second. So if you have 5 to 6 rage regen per second, your only downtime will really be to cool down Berserk. So in this situation right here, and we can just see how fast the, So I'm going to turn off Vitality real fast. I'm going to go back to town over here, and let's see. So in this example, you can see I have no rage at all. Once I turn on Vitality and put on the Mage Blood Flash for life regen, you can see the rage is recovering super, super fast right here. It's just going up. And then when I press Berserk right here, you will see that the Berserk actually lasts a very, very long time at 50 rage. It is just a very long time. So we can count the seconds. It's got to last around like 15, 20 15 seconds, right? 10-15 seconds, I'm not really too sure. So once it goes down all the way, the only cooldown you have is the cooldown of Berserk, of it ticking up. And when you press Berserk on left click again, you'll see that you'll have it up again. And so the only downtime is that, I don't even know how much the downtime is the cooldown of Berserk. So right now, we put this on left click. Now, for a lot of people wondering, how do you actually put it on left click? You have to have always attack without moving in order for this to work. And I do think that Berserk has a cooldown time of 5 seconds. So you'll only have a 5-second downtime when you use Berserk while mapping. Now, a lot of people think, oh, why can't I just use Berserk 24/7 if I have that much rage regens? Because each second, 20% more rage loss rate. So that means you lose 5 rage per second baseline. So after a certain amount of time, you just can't regen it anymore. So if you have like, what's it called? Like 10 rage regen per second, once you get to 5 seconds, you'll start losing rage actually. And that's just how it works. You can't sustain Berserk forever. When people say perma Berserk, they mean like very, very high uptime Berserk. So what is actually so good about Berserk? Like Berserk is incredible, especially for a lot of builds that don't have that much movement speed, like Tornado Shot, for instance, because it's a more movement speed multiplier. So you can see here 25 to 30% more movement speed, 15 to 20% more attack speed, 15 to 20% more damage with attack. So it's 3 different multipliers. And then there's one more. There's 15 to 19% less damage taken. So this one ability or one glove slot is allowing you to get 20% more damage with attacks, 20% more attack speed, 30% more movement speed, and 20% less damage taken. It's absolutely berserk or incredible for you to be able to use Berserk. Now, this also benefits bow builds a lot because bow builds don't have that much attack speed. So Berserk actually is incredible for it. It makes it feel a lot better. Now you might be wondering, how do you even get life regen? It's impossible to get life regen, especially on a ranger. Now Vitality can grant up to 200 life regen. Immortal Flesh is another item that goes up to 350. Vol's Vision is 400. Rares can roll life regen. You can get life regen on a body armor piece. So if we look at this profile over here, you could get like body armor. You could literally get like what? Like 150 life regen over here. Your boots, you can also get some life regen, I think like 100. But the main source of life regen for high-end builds will definitely be the Mage Blood Flask. The Mage Blood Flask, I think, is around. So let's go see. So let's go take this pair of gloves, add the modifier. And if you see like right here, you add this life regen mod, you save it, you get like around 2 life regen. Well, this guy's build is really weird. Most people do not have 2400 life. Now this Flask craft is based off your life percentage, so that's why it's a little bit weird. But if you want to get flat life regen, you can get a lot of life regen through crafting it on your body armor and running Vitality. So it's not too hard, and it's very, very easy to get to 5 to 6. And once you get to 5 to 6, you'll feel that you'll always have it up, like for the most part. Now, if you really wanted to feel up 24/7, you would have to get to like 8, 9, 10. So some of this stuff, where to get regen? So you have Juggernaut Node that gives you regen with Bone Shatter. You have Inquisitor, Sanctuary, and Pious Path. 5% from Consecrated Ground. I do know there's this new jewel that like I think is a strength for Int is your highest stat. You have Consecrated Ground around you, and that could be a huge thing too for certain builds. You have Guardian, 30% burst. Ascendant has some. And then theoretically, you could run Enduring Cry. You can just have the glove on, you press Enduring Cry, and then you have a 2000 burst. So that's like what, 20 rage instantly on demand before you use it on a boss or something like that. You Essence Drain, this is Troll, Vitality. You can run it as an aura. Doppelganger's Guise, you probably won't be using this. Fragile Bloom is something actually kind of interesting. So what Fragile Bloom actually does is it's like it gives you stacks every second. And it gives you 7% life regen. However, you lose it all on hit when you get hit. So I think for some bossing, this would actually not be too bad. It's 7% life regen, especially at the start of a fight. Now, Groove Coast Pelt, you will never use that. Immortal Flesh and Vol's Vision is what we actually used on Venom Gyre at League Star. And this gives you, what, 7.5 life regen or rage regen. And then there's also Surging Vitality or Hardy. And then there's life regeneration during Flask effect. And that's what we are using here. So for most people, you'll probably be using the Mage Blood Flask. If you actually could afford it, you'll probably be using Vitality. And you'll be using 1 craft on your chest piece for Suffix. And that should get you around to like 5 or 6 life regen. Now this does make it a little bit harder to craft. So you can see this is a Suffix mod. And down here, I think it's regen. I don't even know where it is. regen. So you can go up to 176, right? So you can already get like 2 life regen on a suffix on a body armor. Now, what builds could actually use this? Now, any attack-based builds that does not already have high berserk uptime would greatly benefit from this glove technology. So I think the main builds are strength stacking, tornado shot, frost blades, kinetic blasts, and I think those are the main attack-based skills. I do know some people use rage vortex with this right now. It feels pretty good to play with. And it also helps tremendously for bow mapping speed. And bow mapping is really the big one, especially when you're using Mage Blood, you have a movement speed, and this actually multiplies that movement speed. So you will be zooming across the map. I know personally for me, when I tried this setup out, it felt a lot better when using Berserk. And the mapping just felt incredible. I've also had a lot of people in my Twitch chat who actually tried the setup out and was pretty astounded by how much better it felt. Now, for Tornado Shot, I do think that most people watching this video will probably be conflicted because you're probably playing Tornado Shot, right? Or you're probably playing KB. Now, right now, every single Tornado Shot profile, as I said, on Poe.ninja is trolling because you actually don't have Berserk. So Berserk right here, you'll see right here, you have it checked when you import the profile. And this gives you, what, 48.4% hit DPS roughly. Combined, you have so turning on Berserk is a 48.4% damage increase that you normally do not have. Now, if we actually look at it right here, we will see that the only way to get rage is from these gloves. So you gain 1 rage on hit with attacks no more than once every 0.7 seconds. What this means is that in order to get your rage, 50 rage, and the pop also gives you 50 rage when you import it. I think it does, right? Oh, it doesn't even give you 50 rage. So 50 rage is not even included right here. So theoretically, you're actually losing a huge chunk of damage because you actually don't even have the 50 rage ever. So it goes from, what, 40... Let's go take off the rage that you actually do not have. So it goes from... Let's see here. Oh, I forgot. 54 million all the way up to... 54 million all the way up to 88 million. So you actually don't have any rage generation. The only way you're going to be generating rage, you attack the enemy. So by the time if you attack an enemy for 35 seconds, the boss is probably already dead. You're never going to be able to use Berserk. Most people who actually even play Tornado Shot probably never even touches their Berserk button. The only time you probably press Berserk is when you clear a map and you press Berserk when you reach the map boss. Now, with the unique Home Spirits, you can also get a lot of good stuff on the implicits. For instance, my pair of Comb Spirits, you can get +1 frenzy charge, you get maximum life. You could also get attack speed, like 10%. You can also get plus attack crit, which is super helpful for bow builds who kind of lack crit. Now, so you're not really losing that much damage compared to rare gloves. If you actually look at rare gloves, what does it actually give you? You get the fizz conversion to cold. Then this rage thing is already a moot point because you already get rage recovery. And then you get cold res, and the cold res is kind of like the fire res on the unique pair of gloves, right? So you lose 50% damage, you lose the suppress, which is kind of annoying, and you lose 18% attack speed. Now, 18% attack speed, you can also get 10% attack speed on the pair of glove implicits, and then, or you can get +1 frenzy charge, which should more than cancel out the damage that you lose on this. Now, the main problem with this, as you realize, is that a lot of gloves is kind of build enabling for certain builds. For instance, Tornado Shot, we use the gloves to convert our fizz to cold. However, there is a way around it. Now, these are very, very expensive options, but that's why it's kind of hard to really recommend this tech to a lot of people for Tornado Shot, but you can definitely make it work. So what you need is you need a fizz converted to cold quiver. Now, this exists in 2 different spaces. You need on the implicits for physical damage converted to cold damage, or you can get, I think this is Crusader, and then you can get it here, physical damage to cold. Now, you do have to buy this with additional arrow, and I do think it's kind of expensive. Let me see if I can actually pull up how much one of these quivers will cost. So right here, we can see over here, let's change it to Sanctum. So you have to go physical damage converted to cold. Now, the thing is that this is just going to be an expensive item because not many people are rolling it at the moment, and this is a quiver. So you generally want as many additional arrows as possible. And I guess some people do have it. So it was gonna be kind of expensive. I mean, it does exist actually. Like, this item is actually not terrible if you craft on life. So you can see that there are ways to make this work. Now, the other problem with this is that you need a double Hatred Watcher's Eye, or you need to find ways to get more crit. So Hatred, what's it called? Crit. So Usually you have Hatred Crit and then you have Hatred, Cold. And I do know there's some people playing Reap build right now, which kind of makes this really expensive. So it's like a 90 Divine Watcher's Eye. However, you could drop the crit chance. You can rely on the crit chance from the gloves, and then you have to get some more crit nodes on the tree. And it's probably a lot cheaper with that wave. But basically, you have to use the Watcher's Eye to get you 40% conversion. You get 25% roughly from the quiver, and then you get the remaining 40% from your Cold Mastery. And the Comb's wave setup is a Comb Spirit. Whoops, I meant Comb Spirit is way better in every way for bossing and mapping. Mapping, you'll have more movement speed, you'll do more damage, you'll attack faster, allowing you to clear the map faster. For bossing, you'll be able to get to the boss, have 50 rage, and instantly blow it up. And I do think that playing with high Berserk uptime is life-changing in PoE. It's one of those things like if you have a Bugatti and then you go drive like a Volkswagen Beetle, it's a completely different, right? You just can't play the game the same way anymore. And it's kind of the reason why people buy so many luxury cars, because once they have this Porsche or Audi R8, you just can't go back to what it used to be. And this is pretty much like going back to a Honda Civic after you try this out. Now, like I said, starting bosses with 50 Rage and Berserk is huge. Like if you actually consider how bossing works in PoE, it's all about that upfront burst damage before the boss does its infinite invulnerability phases. So you want to have that burst cycle up as much as possible. And what you'll notice is that this does allow you to front load all your damage as heavily as possible. You have the max rage, max berserk effect. And you can see right here, the proof is in the pudding, as they say. You go from 54 mil to 81 mil. Even if you take out like 10% DPS because you lose some gloves or you lose like a suffix on your chest piece or suffix on your quiver, there's no way the damage will even come close. And this doesn't even take into account the defensive bonuses of Berserk, which is, you can see right here, the EHP of the build actually goes up quite a bit. And the main issue is I do think there's downsides of not having any life regeneration. A lot of people don't like that. Although for most Uber boss fights, you probably should be running like 1 life flash or 2 life flash. And if you're ever running like Wandering Path or any sort of map mods, when you get like 60% life recovery or no regen, you'll definitely notice it that your rage regen will be really, really bad. But that's just part of the whole spiel, right? With the pair of gloves. But thanks for watching, everyone. I hope this has been kind of an eye-opening experience, and I do think that this technology is really, really strong. And I do think that every single bow build should probably be using Comb's Spirit if you can afford it, right? If you can afford the technology. And I do think that this also works on Strength Stacker, especially on Strength Stacker. The Strength Stacker gloves don't really do that much. It gives you like 50 strength. But I do think that Berserk will feel a lot better. And it also helps your character feel a lot more tanky, especially on Strength Stacker. So if I look at the Strength Stacker build, you can see right here, the glove is Battle Mage's Cry buff effect. But Berserk effect, 30% is also, I think it's just as good. So if you actually apply enchantment and go to Berserk, you have 30% increased buff effect. And you can see right here, it's actually a DPS increase, while at the same time also increasing your max hit. So thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you find more Mirrors, Divines, and Mage Bloods than me, and see you next time. Bye!